members of a very well-known recording group. Join me, and together we'll get to know Nile, Rodgers, Bernard Edwards, and Chic.
Hey were the band that defined a dance generation, glamorous, unstoppable, and dripping in groove.
Here we go. 1, 2,
You've heard the songs Le Freak, Good Times, Everybody Dance. But behind those hits, a story of rebellion, reinvention, and heartbreak.
In other words, we have a certain formula for doing what we do. However, we absolutely write and produce differently for each one of those artists.
This isn't just about disco. This is about two musical geniuses, Nile Rodgers and Bernard Edwards, who built an empire of rhythm, then watched the world turn on them overnight. They changed music forever. And yet, at their peak, the industry slammed the door shut.
To please the people. We're glad that they like the music, and that was the plan all along.
How long have you been on the road this time?
We've been out for 2 weeks at Chic now. This is our first road tour.
In this video, we're diving into Chic's untold story, from their meteoric rise to the night disco was killed, and how, decades later, their sound is more alive than ever. Drop your favorite Chic song in the comments. I read them all. And if you love music history with an edge, hit that like button and subscribe. New York City, 1970s. The city buzzes with music, jazz, funk, soul echoing through every bar and basement. This is where it all starts.
It's just an outlet for us. We've been playing music for an awful long time, and we've always been into having fun. We use it as, this is our life.
A shy, jazz-obsessed guitarist named Nile Rodgers plays wherever he can, even in the house band for Sesame Street.
We want the fun to be there, because I think that's what people react to. The fresh sound, the fun. And then when they're on stage or on the dance floor, that's what they're doing.
Meanwhile, Bernard Edwards, a bass player with killer instincts and serious style, is grinding through post office shifts to fund his real passion, music.
What has happened in the last couple of years? Of course, if you have a bunch of hits, you're going to influence the music world.
They meet by pure chance one night in the Bronx. Nile steps in last minute to sub for a guitarist. Bernard's already on bass. No rehearsal, no intro, just the downbeat. Then, magic. They lock in immediately with no words, just rhythm. By the end of the night, they've taken over the band. From that moment, they're inseparable.
But European disco is what the whole American disco sound is based on, and we haven't lost that. I don't think it's just become fuller. We're using more instruments now as opposed to synthesizers.
They hit the road playing the Chitlin Circuit gritty clubs where legends like Marvin Gaye and Jimi Hendrix once cut their teeth. It's sweaty, chaotic, thankless work, but it sharpens them.
dance, 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 dance.
And it's in these dive bars that they begin shaping a sound the world had never heard before. They were total opposites. Nile, thoughtful, precise. Bernard, bold, magnetic. And that contrast, that's what made them unstoppable.
Dancing to the beat, feel the heat. I'm moving my feet.
By 1973, their hustle had earned them a big break. Bernard was hired as musical director for New York City, the band behind the hit I'm Doing Fine Now. Naturally, he called Nile to help build the group's new backing band. They called it the Big Apple Band.
25 years since the last Chic album. Does it feel that long?
It actually doesn't, because I've been making records all along.
Soon, they were touring with legends the Jackson 5, Parliament Funkadelic, the Rodgers. But it wasn't glamorous. It was bar gigs, cheap motels, and endless bus rides. And it was perfect. It gave them the blueprint not just for sound, but survival in the music industry.
This massive bulk drop of recordings that I thought were lost forever, and then I got all hyped up about, bringing my stuff back to life.
They learned the grind. They learned the game. It was Bernard who told Nile, lose the jazz guitar, get a Stratocaster. That switch changed everything. Nile's hands invented a new sound, chucking. A funky, rhythmic strum that hit like percussion but moved like silk. Eventually, New York City fizzled out. They tried something wild, even dabbled in punk under the name Allah and the Knife-Wielding Punks. But the real lightning bolt struck in London, 1976. Nile saw Roxy Music live. It wasn't just music, it was fashion, flair, fantasy. A total sensory takeover. He had an epiphany. Music alone isn't enough. We need the experience. That night, the idea for Chic was born. A band built not just for sound, but for style, sophistication, power. And soon, the whole world would know it. Back in New York, Nile and Bernard were ready to build not just a band but a sonic revolution. First recruit. Drummer Tony Thompson, a beast behind the kit. Then came keyboardist Rob Sabino, and powerhouse vocalists Norma Jean Wright and Alpha Anderson. They rehearsed like maniacs. They weren't just playing songs, they were crafting a sound. Slick, stylish, unmistakable. Then came their first track as Chic, Everybody Dance. It hit different polished harmonies, hypnotic bass lines, and a chorus that made you move before you realized it. But Nile and Bernard weren't just writing disco hits. They had a rule: every song had to have dem deep hidden meaning. Beneath the glitter, there had to be grit. Then came Dance, Dance, Dance. They produced it themselves with help from a young Luther Vandross on backing vocals. When they played it at Billboard's disco convention, the room exploded. Atlantic Records signed them on the spot. The track soared up the charts and suddenly, Chic was the hottest name in dance music. They launched the Chic Organization, their own production empire. Two kids from New York had built a brand that blended art, fashion, and fire grooves. Then came the moment that made them icons. In 1978, they dropped Le Freak. It was electric. It was raw. It sold over 4 million copies, becoming Atlantic Records' biggest hit ever. For 5 weeks, it ruled the charts. Then came I Want Your Love. Alpha Anderson's voice. Chills. The track. Pure elegance on vinyl. Chic wasn't just topping charts, they were rewriting what pop music could be. And the world couldn't get enough. By 1979, Chic wasn't just at the top of the charts, they were defining the sound of an entire generation. That's when they dropped Good Times. It wasn't just a hit. It was a blueprint. Bernard Edwards laid down a bass line so slick, so deep, it practically danced on its own. Nile called it sophisto-funk. And it would echo far beyond disco. Because here's what happened next. Without permission, a new group called the Sugar Hill Gang lifted that groove for their debut single, Rapper's Delight. That track didn't just borrow a bass line, it launched hip-hop into the mainstream. One song, two genres, one stolen groove. After some legal wrangling, Nile and Bernard were credited as co-writers, but the message was clear. Chic had just shaped the future. Again. And they weren't done. That same year, they produced We Are Family and Here's the Greatest Dancer for Sister Sledge, songs that lit up dance floors and family reunions alike. Then came a call from Diana Ross. She wanted the Chic touch. And she got it with Upside Down and I'm Coming Out, two of the most iconic tracks of her career. Even as disco started to fade, Nile and Bernard's fingerprints were everywhere. They weren't just hitmakers, they were architects of modern pop, funk, and hip-hop. But just as they reached their creative peak, the world turned on disco. And what happened next changed everything. It all came crashing down on July 12, 1979. A baseball stadium. A radio stunt. A crowd of 50,000. It was called Disco Demolition Night, but it wasn't just about music. People came to destroy records. But what exploded was something bigger and uglier. They stormed the field. They rioted. They sent a message. Disco is dead. And for Chic, it was devastating. Nile Rodgers would later say, "That night burned our careers. We never had another hit. The industry shut us out." They kept going, real people, take it off, tongue-in-cheek, but the world had already moved on. The radio stopped playing them. The fans disappeared. The spotlight went dark. In 1983, Chic was done. But Nile and Bernard, they weren't. Nile pivoted into production and lit up the charts. He gave the world Let's Dance by David Bowie, Like a Virgin by Madonna, She's the Boss by Mick Jagger. Meanwhile, Bernard produced Robert Palmer's Riptide and helped form the supergroup The Power Station, with members of Duran Duran and their old drummer Tony Thompson. And their friendship, unshakable. During Bowie's sessions, Nile didn't like the bassist. He made one call. 15 minutes later, Bernard walked in, read the chart, crushed the take and left. No ego. Just genius. As for the women who gave Chic its voice, Norma Jean Wright went gospel and worked with Aretha Franklin and Madonna. Alpha Anderson toured with Luther Vandross, then became a school principal in Brooklyn. Lucy Martin left music and built a career in healthcare. Chic didn't end in flames. It ended like the last song at a party. Slow, stylish, unforgettable. But legends. They never stay gone for long. The 90s brought a second chance. In 1992, Nile and Bernard reunited, ready to breathe new life into Chic. They brought in fresh voices like Silver Logan Sharp and Jen Thomas, and dropped a new album, Chicism. Then came the world tour. It wasn't just nostalgia. It was redemption. The crowds were back. The groove was alive. And for a moment, it felt like magic had returned. But in 1996, everything changed. During a concert in Tokyo, Bernard started pausing mid-performance. Nile thought he was just riffing, improvising. He wasn't. Bernard was battling severe pneumonia. He finished the show, then went to his hotel to rest. He never woke up. It was Nile who found him. "I didn't just lose my best friend," Nile would say. "I lost half my music." But even through grief, Nile kept going. In 1999, he released Live at the Buden, a recording of Bernard's final performance. Then came more heartbreak. In 2003, drummer Tony Thompson passed away from kidney cancer. Nile was the last one standing, but he refused to let the music die with them. In 2010, he released the box set The Chic Organization, Savoir Faire. Then, something unexpected. Daft Punk. Get Lucky. Nile's guitar. Their futuristic sound. The result? A global smash. And the return of the Chic groove to the top of the charts. It wasn't just a comeback. It was a resurrection. In 2018, Chic released It's About Time, their first studio album in 26 years. Old voices returned. New ones joined. But the energy? Timeless. Then in 2024, came another loss. Alpha Anderson, one of Chic's iconic voices, passed away at 78. In her later years, she became an educator, inspiring the next generation with music, grace, and wisdom. Nile paid tribute with simple, powerful words. "Thank you for everything. You'll always be part of our story, our music, and our hearts." Because Chic, they were never just a disco band. They were a movement, a revolution, a sound that refuses to die. Chic wasn't just a band. They were a blueprint, a sound, a statement, a style that still pulses through pop, funk, hip-hop, and house music today. From fashion to festivals, from old vinyls to fresh TikTok, Chic is everywhere, whether people realize it or not. Their journey had everything: hustle, glory, heartbreak, reinvention. And it all started with two friends, a Fender guitar, and a dream to make people dance. So here's the question: what's your favorite Chic song? Tell me in the comments. I read every one and drop hearts like confetti. And if this story moved you, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and tap the bell so you never miss the next legend we bring back to life. Because next week, we're diving into another untold chapter of music history. You won't want to miss it.